For Action News, I'm Anna Dulosky. If you're the 1 in 5 American adults who have a tattoo, listen up. A recent FDA recall of tattoo ink, needles, and kits is urging a more detailed look into their safety. Recently, the FDA received reports describing adverse reactions to tattoo ink, prompting the agency to study ink toxicity. The agency website details that use of the California-based company's products can cause sepsis and potentially more serious infections like hepatitis C. ACTIA's Dr. Gilbert Ross explains.
Tattooing is potentially harmful. Let's just get that out of the way. A study that was reported recently, I believe it was in 2012, did a very good analysis of several thousand people who had tattoos. And they tried to assess the risk of the most common serious problem you can get from tattooing. As with any other activity that punctures the skin or invades the bloodstream, any such practice is fraught with the risk of contagious disease, viral contagions such as hepatitis A, B, and C, and of course HIV. You can also get bacterial contamination with your common staph strains, which can cause very serious infections, both localized and systemic. But what this study did very well was it controlled for people who had previous exposure to contagious transmission from intravenous or skin-popping drug use or transfusions that were administered before the hepatitis virus was routinely tested for in 1992. So eliminating anybody in their study with a history of drug use that violated the skin boundary, in other words, skin popping or intravenous, and eliminating anybody that had a history of a blood transfusion prior to 1992, they still found that the risk of hepatitis C was over 5-fold increase among people that had a tattoo compared to a control group with no tattoo. So clearly the risk of hepatitis C, which is a very a dangerous disease, it's actually quite common. It's way more common than we know. Most people with hepatitis C, the overwhelming majority, I think 7/8 of the people, and there's millions of people with hepatitis C who do not know it. And what happens is hepatitis C is a gradual, progressive inflamer and destroyer of liver cells, and eventually, in people whose hepatitis C is not controlled with drugs. And we now, over the last year or so, have drugs that are very effective in controlling and even curing hepatitis C. But if you don't get treated, you may very well go on to cirrhosis or chronic hepatitis and cirrhosis and liver cancer. So these are all good reasons, I think, to avoid tattooing, even if the needle is not itself contaminated, if the procedure is not sterilized correctly, or a fresh tattoo is exposed to some infectious organism. Local skin infections can certainly occur. There are no data that I know of about the risk and rate of local skin infections, and I'm sure that whatever data there are would be vastly underreported because most such complications do not come to medical attention. And if somebody with a fresh tattoo got an infection and went to an emergency room and got cared for there, I doubt that there's a systematic reporting of a tattoo-related infection versus routine infection. So the data collection on tattoo-related complications, I'm sure, is unreliable and sketchy at best.
To read more on this topic and tattoo safety, you can head to our website, acsha.org. That's acsh.org. While you're there, don't forget to also sign up for your daily dose of news delivered right to your inbox. For ACTIA, I'm Anna Dulosky.